This is a geo-referenced 3D point cloud showing the geometry at the site. I've added on top of this point cloud two blue polylines, this upper one being the apparent location for the water line, and this other blue line is the approximate location of the, when you're looking in plan view at least, the approximate location of the curb for the road as it exists on the current design drawings. So you get a sense for the 3D geometry. There was a concern when I was in the field about this volume of rock being stable and staying there. And two different options, either remove it or bolt it in place. If you were to remove it, when you extend this joint surface, if you extend it up through the slope, it'll pop out of the ground roughly back here where this blue line is. So you end up losing a fair bit of support for a road or a water line up on the upper bench. So it may be a better situation just to hold it in place, and to do so, probably 1-2 rock bolts here, another rock bolt here, and another 2 over here. So 5 rock bolts spanning across this thing here, drilled using the drill from above. The bolts themselves angle down through this plane and into the solid rock back there. So you can hold it in place, at least the large blocks. But even if you do that, there's missing material in lots of spots that is needed to support a road, like right beside it, right? It's missing material. And on the other side, this whole area, here's a low area in here where you'd have to have a substantial retaining wall to put the curb where the current design drawings are located. And where do you put that wall? On a sloping rock surface. It's a bit of a challenge to build a retaining wall. And the retaining wall would have to probably go from this location here. So the wall would start here and work its way around and go just past this manhole on this other side. So a fairly substantial length of retaining wall. And if you're to use a retaining wall option, you're going to have to somehow anchor the base of that wall. And one can do that with rock bolts, but it's going to be fairly expensive. No matter what gets done, I think this one little block of rock sitting right there should probably be removed. And once that rock comes out, all these boulders come out as well. And we need to trim this back a little bit to more gentle slope, removing some of these rounded boulders. This is the area where groundwater is seeping out. It's wet. When these photographs were taken to create this model, and so one can expect freeze-thaw damage and loss of material in this area over time. So we just need to make sure there's a wide enough catchment at the base of the slope for that material. This rock looks in good shape, but it still may be a good decision to stick a rock bolt, 1 or 2 rock bolts in here, anticipating that some of this material is going to disappear and these bigger blocks might be undermined over time. This rock in this location looks fairly good, so we may be able to get by with doing nothing here. But really, the biggest issue is the current curb location and waterline location on the engineering drawings are so close to the edge of this rock cut that it's going to be a bit of a challenge and a cost to support the road. And so perhaps give some thought to moving this curb back over to here. And then the water line as well. Unfortunately, you have to retrench it, but push that water line further away as well. And I don't know if there's a sanitation line already in there or not. I think the discussion in the field was that there is no sanitation line. It's just a line on the drawings, but it doesn't exist as a reality in the field. But that needs to be confirmed, and we have to make sure there's enough space and separation between water line and sanitation line. So a little bit of design work there if you're going to be shifting the road. Little bit of trimming down below. This is a high spot here, high spot there, a high spot there. That's probably a high spot. Not a lot, but trim out those high spots and get ready to compact in a structural fill to create a bench platform for the backyard and for the house itself. Here's another view of the 3D point cloud loaded into different software. This software allows me to do some quick cross sections through the point cloud. And so I'll do that now. And so what you see here is the blue line is, again, the parent location of the water line. These two red lines are the front and back of the curb as showing in the design drawings. And the green lines are the property lines. And so those same colors show up on the profile. So there's the curb, that property line, and down below. And so here's the lower road, there's the upper road elevation on that profile. And so at this location, so you're quite a few meters past this manhole, there is a little bit of clearance between the curb and the kind of crest of the slope. And so things are good at this location, but if I drop one right through the manhole, we're getting a little bit closer. And then as I go even further west, suddenly the curb location is sitting right on the crest, but this is too steep to be stable. This is likely to be a lot of fill and glacial till. So the curb would not stay stable at that location without putting a retaining wall in there. And what I'll do is I'll just keep running further to the west, a few more profiles. This is where that overhanging block occurs. And of course, the curb is sitting right on this thing. And if this block were to come out, it comes back out to here, and this curb will now have to, we have to support this area. I think the bigger overhang is maybe even at this location. Yeah. So there's fairly substantial overhang hanging block. And I think the strategy is just to come up top, put some bolts in. Bolts would look something like that, and go back, maybe something like that, to stabilize that. And where apparently the water line is really close to the curb and the property lines, there's the water line sitting, well, it's probably under the ground, maybe down this couple of meters below, maybe down to this elevation. But the curb needs to be supported, and it's on a very steep slope. You have to build a retaining wall in here someplace to carry it all the way up to have that curb at that location, which should be challenging. A couple more profiles. See where the curb is down the slope. Just move it further west. Another profile. Another profile. Here we're going over the high spot, so this is probably where some materials, that's probably pretty much at the driveway elevation here, and you can get a sense for how much higher this is. These are 2.5 meters spacing on these horizontal lines. So there's retaining structures all along here that are going to be required to put the curb where the drawings currently have that curb located.